So I had a fun little experiment over the weekend. Basically, I realized that I needed to understand a code base that I was working through. And so I started interrogating the code base using cursor. And somehow I discovered cursor commands during about the same time. I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I can just kind of generalize this. There's often times where I need to like figure out how things work. And then like creativity. So like everything kind of morphed over time. I realized that, I'm on GitHub. This code base is on GitHub. Whenever I want to figure out how something works, I can have this little window on the right where I see how it works, or I can have it make documentation for me. It doesn't just have to be documentation. It can be like a personalized tutorial through just whatever question I ask about. And so I went to work and I created a cursor command. And here's the basic idea. It's amazingly simple. It's amazing that you can write a markdown document to do this. But basically, it follows a few steps. Step 0, for whatever reason I started at 0, is to make sure we really understand the user's request and verify that we're actually understanding correctly. Step 1 is to create a bunch of files. So like my request that I started working with was understand this file. And so in understanding this file, I'll have the LLM basically break it down to a fairly short overview of the whole file, but it'll also create little detailed sections in all the outline. And if I want to, I can click on the detail section and it goes to another file that has details. Also, all of these things are super duper hyperlinked. Since I'm on GitHub, then I can make sure that I link to the exact line where these things are occurring, so I can jump back and forth and start navigating every little detail in the code. But now at this point, everything, I've made all this hierarchy of files, but I want an easy way to view it. This markdown, even as rendered here, is kind of gross, and I don't want to actually have to be clicking around through files. So I don't know if this is a bright idea or just something crazy. I said, all right, let's create a GitHub issue. So it goes back through those markdown files, and the README file in that directory it becomes the issue description with all the hyperlinks and stuff through it. And then every single other subfile becomes a comment on that issue. And then as the last step of the GitHub issues, as the third step, we link all this stuff together. So now that I've created all these comments, the comments themselves have hyperlinks. And I can use those to edit the original README file with the hyperlinks instead of like links to the files. And I can go ahead and shove it back up into the edited description. And I get a really easily clickable, traversable, navigable, automatic documentation. So let's take a quick look at how it might work. Let's say, okay, I'm going to use that command. I'm going to explain an issue. Help me understand this. Oh, I do this these days, guys. I say, help me understand this repo. Really helps with carpal tunnel when you don't have to even type anymore. All right, so it's planning its next moves. It's reading the whole repo, all the appropriate files. This repo, by the way, is just kind of a toy repo where I put together a bunch of chatbots directly calling against, all the frontier AIs. All right, so what's it doing? Right now, it's looking up my GitHub stuff. It's making sure it understands which version I'm on. So when it starts linking to files, it can get that exact hash and make sure the links are all consistent. I'm using GH. If you wanted to use this issue stuff, you'd have to use GH as a command line option. All right, now it's actually writing out all the files. You got the original README. That is like the main thing that I want to learn. What's this repo about? But it's going to be filled with links to the other sub explanations and it's going to be filled with links directly into the code base. It should be finishing up sometime soon, and we'll start going to step 3 where it pushes stuff, step 2 actually, where it starts pushing stuff into GitHub. It is on step 1 right now where it's creating the explanation of everything. If I was a good producer, this is where I would speed up the tape, but we're going to do this in one edit, so it better just finish up soon. Otherwise, twiddle your thumbs with me. Oh, come on, I know you can do it. This is surely the last thing you want to tell me. I don't want to know anything more. This is enough information. I really don't care about testing. Testing was vibe coded anyways. One thing to start thinking about as this is chugging is kind of the implications here. Basically, I created a natural language text file that is being executed as if it was a program. I've known academically that this was possible for a while, but it's pretty spectacular that I'm doing it. And even the creation of this file that is a program was vibe coded. I'm vibe coding machinery. All right. We've definitely clicked over into phase 2. Everything, we're using GH as a command line tool to start shoving stuff into GitHub. We created our issue, which is going to be appropriately named, of course. We're going to add a bunch of comments to it. And then once we add that last comment, now we have saved the links to those comments as URLs. And so we're going to go back and edit the README file and make one last edit to that issue description so that it has the up-to-date description comments. All right, here is the link to the new explanation issue. Let's see what it looks like. I hope it looks good. LLM snippets repository overview. Purpose. This repository implements a refactored chat agent system that abstracts away provider-specific differences, allowing developers to build LLM-powered applications with tool calling capabilities using consistent API. Okay, that's about right. It talks about the core architecture of having the base notion of an agent, but then I break it down into the three foundation models that were on my mind that day when I wrote this library, and it goes into other things. Now, each of these, if this thing is correct, I should be able to just click and see exactly where they are. Okay, pretty cool. It clicks, I mean, it should do this, but it's neat that it clicks into it. Anything that says that it's details, it corresponds to some subfunction. So this thing was, let's see, functions are automatically converted to a provider-specific tool format steering, initialization, function wrapping system. Seems like it got it right. And everything here is also, you can click on it and immediately get to not only like the file, but you can get to the line in code where things are happening. So things are really cool. Also, the thing that I built is really super generic. So just for whimsy last night, my wife is Japanese, and I said, explain to me Japanese-U.S. economic relations relating to power and coercion. So my wife got a kick out of this, but it goes into several things right here from 1980s until today is when I specifically asked it. And my wife's like, oh, the Plaza Accord, that was a big deal. So we have details to tell us all about the Plaza Accord, but we also have these references. That's another thing that I did when I started playing with, things outside of code. But, references go to exactly the things that you would expect them to go to. This Plaza Accord goes to the Wikipedia page for Plaza Accord. And this, let's hope. Okay, I guess I can click on this semiconductor trade. Yep. So it's not just Wikipedia. And you can figure out if these are good references yourself But at least you can actually go back and say, okay, this is, this is a thing that it claimed to be true. Is it really true? Let's see if I agree with, the provenance of the data, where it came from. To me, it's just spectacular that you can take something so generic and do something like this. I'm writing code in natural language. I'm actually vibe coding code in natural language. And the flexibility is amazing. I did this just for going to a code base where you can say, help me understand this really long file. Or help me understand how data flows, from this starting point to this ending point. Or help me understand the, how SQL tables are being used. Or help me understand the modularity and the interfaces between the modules. There's anything you can do with this. It's really spectacular, just how easy this stuff is today. Well, so that's it. I do have this in a gist. I encourage you to stick this in your cursor today. I think it'll be useful to you too. And yeah, brave new world. All right, that's it.